Did you know that this banana, which you've all probably eaten before, was slightly radioactive? There's even a unit of radioactivity that exists, which compares the radioactivity of things to a number of bananas. Today, we're going to go looking for everyday objects that you all have at home, but that are radioactive. For example, this house made from radioactive rocks, this smoke detector, which contains a radioactive pellet, and lots of other things you wouldn't suspect. First, we need to let our radio core scan the office for radiation for about 10 hours. This will allow us to get this spectrum, which actually corresponds to the spectrum of ambient radiation in the office. Because yes, there is radiation everywhere you go, and then we'll use this spectrum we've obtained to compare it to the spectrum when we put the radio core next to the bananas. This will allow us to differentiate between the ambient radiation and the radiation that actually comes from the bananas. We also tested several other foods that are known to be slightly radioactive, but doing the analysis takes a bit of time. So before showing you what we found, we went here to the St. Ouen flea market. We're at the flea market and we're looking for something very specific: uranium glass. At the beginning of the 20th century, people thought it was a good idea to mix glass with a bit of uranium salt because under a UV lamp it's supposed to glow. Obviously, over time, that's something we stopped doing. But there are still plenty of collectors or even regular people who have this type of glass at home. So, our goal here is to go to a flea market and try to find some. Well, you should know that to shoot this video, we had to go to a lot of places in France. Do you think it's a real Picasso?
Well, we're at a flea market, yeah.
It's true, there's never any scam.
Out here in the open, it's clearly a real Picasso. Yes, Art Deco clock. Honestly, it's the kind of thing where there could be some, since these are old things, you know.
We can ask them, you know.
It's another video where we tell people you shouldn't come, there are only scammers.
That's not the idea at all. We're looking for something made of uranium glass. We're looking for a very specific item.
All right, okay.
No, we're looking.
We're not from that field.
Radioactive glassware, you know, there's a lot of Picasso. Apparently, they're thieves here, you know.
You're an asshole.
There's some glass. We can test it. It doesn't change anything at all.
Unless you put in no effort and choose the only non-green one.
Is there no hour line?
There isn't any here.
Oh really? None? Just some uranium in the glass?
There isn't any here. We're actually looking for the old glass.
That means old glass.
The year 1900, the beginning of the year. This is 1905. Everything, yeah, but it's not radioactive.
That's also 1900.
Let's test it.
Yeah, that one maybe. Huh.
I don't think so. It's mostly just glassware because we're at 4 counts per second.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
It's not radioactive.
That's a singer from 1900, that is.
Yeah? Well, yeah.
Who is it?
You don't know the guy? It's Bob Marley. No, it's Serge Gainsbourg.
Well, then we searched all the flea markets looking for uranium glassware.
Do you think Mario is radioactive?
No! No, not at all.
It was a slim hope.
Maybe the glass there. We did find some things with the characteristic green of uranium glass, but no trace of radioactivity. Well, in the end, we really wanted to test it, so we ended up buying one on eBay. 60 euros though. And we ended up with this magnificent uranium glass vase. Alright, so what happens is that if we bring the Geiger counter close to our famous uranium glass vase, so here, I'm at 6.16 counts per second when we're not next to the vase.
Okay, I'm trying to bring it closer.
Okay, and here, we're at exactly the same level. There wasn't a small spike. Wait, it's going up a little now. We just hit 7.8.
Yes, it's going up.
Oh yeah, it went up to 8.5.
These values are so small, they make no difference.
Yeah, the variation is really tiny, you know, because honestly, 6 counts per second, that's already not much. There was a little spike at 10. We went up to 10. But clearly, I mean, it's nothing at all, you know. There's no particular reason not to use that as decoration, you know. If it were truly dangerous, I think authorities would have it removed.
It's just that back then there were worse things than that.
Then, the ultimate test is the UV lamp. Normally, if you turn off the light and shine a UV lamp on the vase, it glows in the dark.
We get green fluorescence?
That's great. We weren't scammed.
It's true that Marie Curie, when she discovered this, thought it was so cool that she always kept a little sample in her pocket since it was kind of blue and luminescent.
I understand, but where it could potentially be dangerous is if we break the glass. Actually, well, there will be some small pieces, it'll turn into powder. And then it could emit a bit more, I think. Or, from what I've seen, if you put an acidic liquid like Coke in it for a very long time, like weeks and weeks, it can kind of attack the glass. And then you really get to what's inside it. At that point, it's better not to drink from it.
If we use a pickaxe to break it like that, it'll take a while.
That would really suck for my dad, though.
Particles and everything.
No, just drop it. No, actually...
It's stupid.
No, honestly.
I don't think anyone would think of doing that.
No one. Alright, now we're going to look for the most radioactive places in Paris. So here, we're on the Radioverse website. If we zoom in a bit on Paris, we can see the different points of interest where people have found radiation. First, the radiation here is a bit like normal. We're at 0.06 microsieverts per hour, which is about what we have at the office. If we zoom in a little, for example here, we have a kind of hotspot where it goes up to 0.53.
especially since this is Montparnasse Station.
The site lets users post photos from when they took measurements. For example, this person put their Geiger counter, a Radiocore 102, in their bag and noted it in the photo. And I think the radioactivity came from the big granite block that's here. So that's the first spot, but there are others. Here, for example, if we zoom in, we have another spot where it goes up to 49.
The guy was visiting a mineral museum and found a uranite mineral or something similar, so high readings are expected.
You can already tell by the way he uses his Geiger counter that the guy, he's a guy, he went everywhere. He went everywhere with it. So if we look Uranus, well, there you go. Exactly.
Uraninite.
Uraninite. Maybe we were just talking nonsense all along.
See, uranite. It exists.
That's it. It's different. Definitely not the same. This one's really cool. Honestly, I don't know where to find it. Restricted access, blue zone, risk of irradiation and contamination. So, we're going to try to find that. Last spot in Paris, it's a little further east. And apparently, it's that thing over there where we have readings that go up to 0.76, even 1.
1 microsievert is much more than before.
Not bad, huh? 154 counts per second. It's a parking lot built on an old radium factory that apparently wasn't decontaminated properly.
What cracks me up is that it's really a collaborative thing. The guy's name is Homer Simpson with an avatar of Homer.
Since Homer works at a nuclear power plant, let's check if the radiation found on Radioverse exists in real life. We'll take a look at what we can find in Paris. We started by trying to find the uraninite that we found on the site. Apparently this room is in the Curie Museum, which is actually a building at Paris University 1, so we went there.
It's nice.
We're still in nanosieverts here.
However, it's much higher here. This is the radioactive test.
We scanned everything in the museum, but there wasn't much. I don't think it shows you.
Cancer kills from the very beginning. Well, that's what we're here for.
Moving ahead, we passed Pierre and Marie Curie's lab where they discovered radioactivity.
That's the lab where they did their experiments. We have to test here. It's pretty cool. There are usually remains here. This is where experiments were done.
Well, we're still at 192.
Actually, it's higher.
Ambient radioactivity was slightly higher, but not alarming.
There's no way the metal absorbs more.
Not at all. Well then, we need to find that room. It's a collection of minerals.
So there are uranium ores, uranite.
That's really cool.
If we're up for it, we ask the lady, right?
We can ask the lady. You want to ask the lady?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello, excuse me, is this the minerals center?
The stones?
Yeah, the stones minerals.
The minerals section is closed right now.
It's closed right now?
We're under renovation.
Ah, okay, that's too bad.
Thank you very much. It's complicated. In any case, if you're a fan of beautiful stones, this isn't the place to go. The second place we went to see was the Marie Curie parking lot. Clearly, we're sticking to the theme. Originally, it was a radium-226 production plant that was later turned into a school, the Marie Curie School. What a great idea, huh? And after quite a few complaints from parents because the levels of radioactivity in the school were very high and the decontamination was poorly done, the school was finally closed and turned into a parking lot. But apparently, from what we saw on Radioverse, there are still some small traces of radioactivity left. We also found this document from an association that explains in detail what happened. It was particularly interesting. So we're here at the Marie Curie parking lot. It really lives up to its name.
The parking lot was supposed to be well decontaminated, so there shouldn't be much there.
Wow, they decontaminated really well.
This is where there's the most, reaching 20, which is normal. 38.
38 beats per second.
There's an alarm. I can't see the amount because it's poorly designed. Come on. Well, it's at 40 where there's the most, but it's still not that high.
Yeah, Nick, the most we've done is, there, 112.
114 for me, 120, 140.
To give you a little comparison with our Radiocore, if we're at the office, we get about 1 count per second between 10 and 20 and a dose of about 0.1 microsieverts. Do you think that if you go to Poinçon, you'll get exposed to radiation?
It's a different kind of radiation.
Damn, we're at 101 now.
108, 120, 100. Wow, man, we're at 200. Wow. Yeah, now this is interesting. Wait, we're on a good spot, so we need to stay here. They said it was very localized. I'm trying to scan. 190. 222? I got 222.
222, damn, that's not bad, huh? Right now, we're at 1 microsievert anyway. That's starting to get pretty high. Maybe the people who live here, well, they might not be so sure, huh? The PDF said a lady had very high readings at her home because after the site was decommissioned, people took items from the factory to their homes and gardens.
Natural radioactivity typically reaches up to 0.20.
So we're well above that.
We're 5 to 10 times higher than the limit. The public limit is 1 microsievert per year, but staying here for 9.6 millisieverts, the threshold for nuclear workers is 20, so you're still well within the safe range.
Yeah, but I don't think they can do that forever.
Getting a chest x-ray is like staying here for 90 hours.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, there's no limit in terms of years. But if a nuclear worker accumulates the 20 millisievert limit for too many consecutive years, the occupational physician will ask the employer to change that worker's assignment. Of course, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not a nuclear worker.
The opposite sidewalk, 1200, is the worst spot.
There, on the other side, across the street?
Yeah, on the other side across the street.
We'll cross the street. We've searched thoroughly, but couldn't get beyond the numbers we found. There's one last spot in Paris to check. The coffin of Marie Curie, who discovered radioactivity. She experimented so much with uranium that her body was radioactive by the end of her life. We found out her coffin is in the Pantheon and went to see it. We've just reached the Pantheon to see Marie and Pierre Curie's tomb. Do you think there'll be any radioactivity?
Can't wait to see. We'll take out the radio core and go in.
Let's go. The goal, find Marie Curie's sarcophagus. It's not a sarcophagus, we're not in ancient Egypt.
It's a lead coffin. That shows that the Earth is round.
It would look like that. How does that prove the Earth is round?
Basically, yes. Well, so that's it. It's over there. I think there's something.
But still, we're at an ambient level of 50.
Your words are radioactive because you picked up uranium in a forest.
Shit. I shouldn't have.
We can ask a guide if we're up for it. It's just strange to look for a specific grave, but really it's fine. We're fans.
We love Curie. What's a crypt?
A crypt is what we want.
Seriously, are you sure?
A crypt is where people are laid to rest.
It's digital currency. Well, so, we found Google Maps.
Here we have the maps of the tombs, and the last person searched for Marie Curie. Yeah, so look, we see that it's here.
And we are here.
Pierre Curie, he's in the same place, you see.
Okay.
It's creepy, the tomb is partly open.
Marie Curie, now it's time to take a look.
Damn, it's clicking. We're at 28.2.
That sucks.
It's not great, but we're gonna head back.
We're heading back, 27.6 before going in. Pierre Curie.
And Marie Curie.
He's right here, right here. And Marie Curie is just above. It's not much.
There's no difference. Huh, the lead is doing its job. Who left an orange?
It's extremely stable, which is surprising. At 28, it rises slightly, but then it remains within ambient levels.
There's really no difference.
At the same time, when you know that most radiation is stopped by a sheet of paper, I think a lead coffin... Anyway, we're trying. Well, as a little anecdote, Marie Curie's body itself is still radioactive, but obviously since she was placed in the Pantheon, the goal isn't to irradiate the people who pass by. That's why Marie Curie is inside her coffin, which itself is inside a lead coffin, which itself is placed inside a double wooden casing. Which explains, among other things, why there's no radiation coming out. When we go out, we're at 56. We're at double the radiation level of Pierre and Marie Curie's coffin, so it's safer from radiation next to Marie Curie than on the street.
What's wild is there was nothing beside it.
Well, there are also some everyday objects that can be radioactive, and that's the case with this smoke detector. This is supposed to be radioactive.
It's that they used radioactive elements to make it, and that must have been banned.
Alright, I promise we'll check out this detector. But did you know your house could be radioactive too? That's likely, especially if you live in certain regions. These regions are the ones that have radon in their subsoil. Radon is a naturally radioactive gas that comes especially from granite soils. So for example, if you're in Brittany, you're in trouble. While we're on our way, I think the most radioactive everyday object we found is actually that very smoke detector. And Yan, do you know which radioactive element is inside this old-fashioned smoke detector?
No, I have no idea.
It's like my Minecraft server for you.
I don't think it's uranium directly.
Well, no, but there are lots of them.
Yes, but let me think. The guy who puts on the pressure, what's that?
While you're thinking, let's see how much radiation it's emitting. Oh, wow, yes, 80.
From 100, it really starts to get serious.
I'm not worried about the empty set here. It's not really dangerous, but it's wild that people kept this at home.
What I'm wondering is how long the component inside lasts, since there might have been intense radiation back then.
No, the half-life, I think it's 400 years. That gives you an idea about,
I don't have 400 years, honestly.
Well, it's a country name.
I'm not giving up, AM. I don't have it. Do you know this?
Yeah, a country ending in IOM. That starts with AM. In the end, in terms of the actual dose of radiation we receive, it's not that much. Be careful at home, maybe. Change your smoke detectors. Not so much because it's radioactive, but mostly because if you have something that old, I don't know if it works very well. Yeah, but radioactivity, honestly, I could eat that for breakfast.
Come on, POV.
So, it's not just any smoke detector because it's actually no longer sold in France today, but you can still find them for sale on Le Bon Coin or sites like that. It's called an ionization smoke detector. Inside, there's a small americium pellet, a radioactive element with a 432-year half-life, so the detector should should work for a long time. Sure, it emits radiation, but it's not very dangerous. Americium mainly emits alpha waves, and these waves can be stopped by a simple sheet of paper. Well, it was still banned in France, even though it's still allowed in other countries, but just think, with millions of smoke detectors sold, even with tiny radioactive components, it's a nightmare to recycle. By the way, if you have any at home, you definitely shouldn't throw them in the trash, and you should take them to places that handle this kind of waste. By the way, just as a little anecdote, in the 1990s, there was a 17-year-old American kid who decided to build a small nuclear reactor in his garage, just like that. And to get the materials he needed to build his reactor, he, believe it or not, bought hundreds of smoke detectors to extract the americium from them. Afterwards, the guy looked like this at the end of his life, so since he nearly irradiated his neighborhood, I strongly advise against doing what he did. Well, that's cool. With all that, we shouldn't have any fire problems in our office, but at the same time, we've just arrived in Brittany, and we specifically looked for an Airbnb that could be made out of granite. Are we going to have any radiation? We just arrived in Brittany. I'll do it. Paris was nice, but the weather here isn't good.
Honestly, the difference in temperature...
Significant. Sorry, Bretons. We rented this house and think this is granite. We're not stone experts, but there's a sure way to check. If it's granite, you lick the stone, and if it's sandy, then it's granite.
For me, it's sandy. Do you hear the noise?
I would have said that, but yeah. This is much more sandy. Well, what I like is that it's still a pretty rough experiment. Afterwards, the advantage is that we have several to do, because if there's radon, it won't just be in the granite of the walls, but there will also be, for example, a little bit in the water from the tap. So we'll test that a bit later too.
It's strange that on Airbnb, they don't list what the houses are made of.
Honestly, for real, totally.
Because for us, it would help, you know? We need to know quickly.
There is construction going on in the back.
Yes, it looks a lot like it. You can clearly see the classic mix of granite, okay?
Take a photo of the wood and ask him if it's granite. He'll say yes, pointing out the blue granite color.
You can try it. We're sure the rock isn't granite.
Go ahead. It's sure. We'll see if we can do it, yeah. But right now, you see...
Wait. I'll put this on. This is the control. We'll see if it's reliable. No, that's an excellent eye. You actually pointed out something that looks a lot like crushed granite. Damn, I'll try with the tar.
Go ahead. Well, that's why you should never trust Ozia, because really, after that, try with the grass.
We're doing worse and worse. That's an interesting observation, but I'll have to add a little nuance. It's asphalt.
Maybe it's just crushed granite, and honestly, we're just too dumb.
Anyway, we'll find out soon enough. If it emits more radiation than average, it's probably granite. So here we're getting between 2 and 14 counts per second, and if we try, it goes up to 20, 26. Yeah, we did double it though.
That doesn't really mean anything since our way of measuring is a bit messed up. We should use the same method we did with the food, meaning scan the ambient radioactivity and compare it to the radioactivity next to the granite. That way, we'd really have a relevant number. But beyond that, on the internet, we saw a pretty interesting experiment to do in regions that have radon. So, we're still in Brittany, and right behind us, there's a bathtub. Good catch! Damn, I'm losing my words. Well, what we did actually is we're going to try to collect what's radioactive in the pipes so we can measure it with the detector. For that, we have a small vacuum cleaner. Very small, yeah? Very small. It's the tough life we've chosen to live, being in Brittany at midnight with a vacuum cleaner in the bathroom. So what we did is we taped our cloth to the vacuum cleaner, so it acted a bit like a filter. If I turn on the vacuum cleaner and it sucks, a little bit of air goes through. And then, the next step is to turn on the water. So we're just going to use cold water. This experiment is carried out by professionals with proper equipment.
It's strange to think this will pick up radiation.
It's not going to detect radiation, it's going to detect particles in the pipes, which themselves emit radiation. Alright, so now that we have the vacuum cleaner here, ready to suck, what we actually want to do is vacuum just above the water, to collect the particles that are in the water. Honestly, if the person renting us the Airbnb sees this, they're gonna think, wow, these guys are psychopaths.
Is making a house from foam worse than doing this?
I don't know, but also, there are guys living next door, right there.
Yeah, they're gonna hate us.
Okay, we let it run for a while, it just soaked a little more, and honestly, I don't really believe it, but well, oh! What? 144 counts per second. But 144 counts per second is a lot, about 14 times higher than in the office. That's because the water had many tiny particles from radon decay. So then, keep in mind that this is a sample after a huge amount of water. Normally, if you just wash with shower water, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now let's analyze the radiation emitted by the microwave. There might not be much. As kids, we heard the urban legend that microwaves emit radiation. South Park even did a whole episode about it. Have you seen it? It's where they microwave their balls until they get huge and bounce on them like hopper balls.
They're geniuses. Can we change the topic?
Go ahead, let's watch. It was really great. Anyway, let's start the microwave and put the radiocore next to it. It's mostly just so we can say we did it.
Normally, this grid is supposed to block the radiation.
So, we're going to start the microwave. We'll stick this on. Honestly, I would have liked to put it inside, but I think that would have been really stupid. Do you think it's dangerous if we put it inside?
No, I don't think so.
Well, in any case, the microwave doesn't emit radiation. We knew that, but we tested it. Now it's time to see the results of all the foods we scanned. So let's start with our famous bananas. Do you think we found anything or not?
No.
So if we look at the analysis of the bananas, what's in green is the ambient radiation, and what's in yellow is the bananas, because bananas are yellow, obviously. For example, bananas have 153 becquerels per kilogram, and if we look at the three little dots, what's interesting is that it shows us the maximum radioactivity allowed in bananas in the European Union. It's 1,250 becquerels per kilogram, so we're much lower than that. There's still a margin of error.
Actually, we should have left it longer. There's a 46% margin of error.
Well, for the potatoes, we have an analysis that lasted much longer, 20 hours in total.
And here we only have a 14% margin of error, so 119 becquerels per kilo normally.
The potatoes are absolutely not radioactive, and I think actually that for fruits and vegetables, it must be 1,250 for everything actually.
In general, what you eat.
But anyway, we can eat this potato. We also tested Brazil nuts, which are known to contain some radioactivity.
It's usually the most radioactive food you can buy at the supermarket.
Yeah, sources?
Gemini.
That's actually true because look, right now we're at 409 becquerels per kilogram. That means for now, it's the food with the highest radioactivity.
We're almost up to 46% of the allowed limit.
It's the same in the European Union. We're allowed up to 1,250, so we have plenty of room.
Yeah, it would kill me if in the US it's 3 times less. They just don't care.
Wait, can we get the other countries? Yeah, that's interesting. Yes, but hold on. In Japan, it's like 12 times lower. They can't eat much, huh? If so, bananas are out. Brazil nuts, forget it.
Do you think it's related to the fact that there have been nuclear disasters in Ukraine, Russia, and Japan?
No, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Because the United States, they've also had disasters like 3 Mile Island, and they're at 1,360. I don't know how they came up with that number. We also tested Saint Yor. Is that how you say it, Saint Yor?
I don't drink that water.
It's a mineral water. That means there are lots of minerals, and sometimes there are certain minerals that emit a little bit of radiation. Unfortunately, for the Saint Yor, we waited for 16 hours and didn't get any results, but from what we can see, it's pretty much exactly the same as what's in regular water. It's safe. Anyway, overall, I think that if it's sold in supermarkets, in any case, it's safe. We also wanted to see what was going on with the shrimp, because apparently there was a small emission of radiation. The analysis lasted for 4 whole days, and we didn't get a final result, but we didn't see any radiation above average. So I think again these shrimp are certified radiation free. And finally, red meat. Now this is funny because we see some spikes a little above the background radiation, but apparently it wasn't enough for the radiocore to detect anything. So we're less sure about that.
In the average reading, it's still about 6 times higher than for the shrimp.
It's true, it's crazy. Actually, I would have thought that the shrimp would have a little bit more, you know, since the ocean is polluted and all, but no, not that much. In the end, we've done a lot of experiments today. I hope it intrigued you. And who knows, if you want a second episode, you know the drill. Give a thumbs up, subscribe, bananas, bye everyone. This was Fuse. See you next time. See you later.